Welcome to Hello Me, It's Me, Vulnerable AF, a podcast hosted by Nikki D. Lovely. That's really just her diary disguised as a podcast, but who cares? You're here for it. Join in as she addresses her self-reflections on life, love, and dating, and gives us all the tea by being more vulnerable than she ever has, with herself and the world. So let's get started in today's episode with Nikki D. Lovely, already in progress.
I'm kid free for the day, at least for half of the day, at least. And so I can actually be a person. I can be a woman today.
Yeah.
Not like wear my mommy hat.
Yeah.
Always a blessing.
Always. When you get a break, you get a break from the mommy hat.
Exactly.
Yes. Welcome, Nickole. Thank you for coming. We have Nickole today, and we're going to be talking about single mothers and what it's like out here in the dating world. And she doesn't have her kids for the weekend, but she does still have the dogs. So that's one of those things that we juggle. I have my own. He's over here whining as well. You guys don't hear him in the background, but she is just putting the dog away for a second, and she will be back in a minute. And we will start our discussion on single moms and dating. We should call them doggy moms too, because doggy mom, human child mom, kitty moms, whatever y'all got going on. Just mommies in general out here trying to date.
Yeah. Yes, I was just ringing the bell and like, I'm kid free. And then there goes the fur baby in the background. Like, not you too.
I guess we could just go ahead and dive right into it. First, introduce yourself.
Yes.
Let everybody know who you are.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nickole Evette. Once again, I am a single mom, a single stay-at-home mom, currently trying to follow my dreams in my mid-40s. Through, I would like to go back to acting, singing, podcasting myself, and even content creating, while also being a mom of a toddler. Why did I go backwards in my feet? I don't know. He's a COVID baby. There was nothing else to do. And, that's really where I am right now. Trying to make meat, trying to remain a mom, a stay-at-home mom, a single stay-at-home mom, and also trying to remember that I'm a woman and a person too.
I heard that. And in remembering those things, I'll just go ahead and introduce myself. You guys, in case you don't know me, my name is Nikki D. Lovely. I appreciate you being on our podcast. Hello, me. It's me, vulnerable as of. And today we're going to be vulnerable about dating. And I want to start off with dating and setting like priorities. Like, what is it that you're looking for now that you're dating in your 40s, right? Because what we were looking for in our 20s, even though I was married in my 20s and felt like I didn't know what the hell I was looking for. My 30s, I felt like I was completely lost, just trying to figure out the dating scene. But my fees, I've done my work. I've gone on my healing journey. I've been to therapy. I've figured out what worked for me, what didn't. I've kind of, upped my self-worth in a way since my last relationship. And so my priorities are different. And right now, what they say, I'm too old for the games. Baby, are we doing this or not? That's basically how we go. I don't try to go into dating like that because I know it's a lot of pressure for men and I don't want to pressure them from that standpoint. I forgot. I'm so sorry, y'all. My microphone. I'm going to have to up that. Anyway, I don't want men to feel completely pressured because I hear that a lot from men. These women just come in, they just talking about marriage right off the bat. And it's not that I'm trying to marry you. I'm just trying to make sure that you are looking for something long term because there's a lot of people that are still playing games out here. And I'm done with the games. Still a bit.
At your big age.
Big age, So what is it that you're looking for? What are some of your priorities when you're outside looking or in these streets, so they say?
But, I like everything that you were saying. It's like there's 3 decades in the dating that, we were dealing with. And so for me, mine was a little bit different. In my 20s, I did date like crazy. I did party. I had fun. I went on the vacations. I did all the things that you would think a 20-year-old would do. And then my 30s, I spent my 30s with married life and, having kids and small kids. So I did start out later in life. And then I got divorced like right at 39, literally 6 months before my 40th birthday was
Oh,
when
wow.
separated and, started the process of getting divorced.
Oh, man.
So now that I'm in my, mid 40s, sliding on down into the late 40s, you're right that the priority is different because in my 20s, all I was looking for was, let's just have a good time. And when I say
You
good
had all
time,
the time
like
in the world.
literally a good time. Like I'm not talking about like a good sexual time. Like let's just go out and have fun and
Exactly. Yeah.
But
For
my
fun.
40s, I
Mm-hmm.
can't afford that because, like you said, don't waste my time. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to throw that on the table with guys when you're dating or when you're looking. But also, I don't. I wasted my time in my cheese with the playing the games and running the field and getting your heart broke. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford because it's like I can't afford to waste my time literally, but I also can't afford to have to take the time to heal again from yet another heartbreak. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like I'm kind of in this position to have to ask up front or let it be known up front, like,
Mm-hmm.
are you marriage minded? We ain't got to go to the chapel right now, but are you marriage minded? Because if you're marriage minded, if I'm the person that you're looking to marry, or I'm the type of person that you would consider marrying. And if you know that I'm not the one, then why are we here?
Right. Yeah.
Why our 40s are we still trying to game women out of their panties is the question. Like, why
Yeah.
are we still trying to do that at your big age? So,
Mm-hmm.
um, for me specifically, I do have to lean on the apps, the
Mm-hmm.
dating,
Mm-hmm.
and I on them because my schedule is so tricky when it comes to my children because I'm as a single stay-at-home mom, I'm one of those moms that I don't have a lot of people that I let watch my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Have about maybe one person that I can call, which is my mom,
Mm-hmm.
like one alternate person, but she has four small kids of herself. So it always
Mm-hmm.
feels like it feels just rude. And I
Yes.
for me to be like, can I dump my three on you on top of your four when
Wow.
I go out
Right.
and have coffee?
Mm-hmm.
So I pretty much schedule my dating around the weekends that they are with their dad. So
Mm-hmm.
that gets a little tricky. And then it comes back to the wasting of time. Like, don't waste my time because if I'm doing all this to set aside time to try and get to know you,
Mm-hmm.
you just want to play games. And the apps, it just feels like when I'm on the apps, Nikki, it feels like I'm like shopping for men at the Ross clearance section sometimes. It just feels like it's like, like when you're at Ross, it's like this is the stuff that's kind of been like discarded from the stores
Yeah.
because they didn't sell or whatever. And then when they're clearance section at Ross, it's like they ain't even doing well at.
Let's get back to that. I think we're gonna jump to the apps, but I want to go back to what you were saying about not wasting your time
Yeah.
and the type of men that you date. Because one thing I found on the dating scene is sometimes I'll date men who don't have kids, and I realize that they don't have the same, what's the word I'm looking for? Empathy or sympathy or wherewithal to know like what you're putting aside in
Yeah.
order to date them. And one of the things I'm trying to work on now is probably trying to date more men who have kids. I probably only dated, if I'm being honest, I think I've only, and when I say date, I mean going out on dates, not even like dated. I've probably only dated, like seriously dated one guy with kids. I didn't even know he had as many as he had until 3 months in. He told me he only had one. Come to find out, he had four. Two were adopted. Two were his exes that he adopted. But even still, it's kind of like, four kids, sir. You adopted those kids.
You have a commitment to those two kids just like your other two.
Yes, and those are your kids. And so he was the only person that I dated, but he was also an avoidant, I learned. Other than that, I come across a lot of still 40-year-old men, no kids, never been married. And of course, people look at them like they're a unicorn. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them at all. However, from my experience, I've found like why they're still 40 with no kids, never been married. And so I'm trying to pick or find that one who has done the work within himself in order for us to date. And that has been a problem, right? So
Right.
what type of men are you dating? I guess we'll start there. And I know you're saying you're picking them from the apps, and a lot of them are on the Ross clearance section. But
I just said something how the apps feel. My ideal person, it's funny, that is a deal breaker for me. I do date men that have children. I don't want to date men that don't have children.
I'm getting there.
Said, because of what you said, the empathy thing is not only do they not have empathy, but they don't have the sense of what it is to be committed to your children and
Yeah.
their in every aspect of my life. So
Mhm.
just like, let's text, let's call, let's do this, do that, do this. Let's go link up real quick. Let's go hang out here, meet me here. It's like they want to move. They want me to be on the phone with them all the time because I have let one or two slip through.
Mhm.
As it's like the opposite. They weren't honest about not having kids. They
Mhm.
tell you after the fact, but it's like I can almost feel the difference in the energy that type of guy brings to the table. Like never been married, never had kids. That's a badge of honor when you in your 20s and your 30s. But once we start sliding into our 40s and 50s, then it's like it's too many women out here, too many good women out here are looking for men. How did you slip through the cracks? Are
Right.
you at that unicorn?
A
So
lot
I
of times what they
prefer-
say is they've been working this whole time. I've been working, I've been building, and it's like, and a lot of women too. So like, it's
Mhm.
not just men. There are a lot of women who are just out dating 35, 42, who no kids, never been married as well. And they have the same thing. Like, I was building my career. I wasn't really focused on a relationship. I want it now. But going back to what you were saying about dating, making sure that you date men who do have kids.
Yeah.
And your reasoning for that is because they understand you a lot more. Because I'm the opposite. I haven't dated many men with kids. And I'm now trying to change that
Yeah.
a little bit, but
Well, too, my reasoning behind that is I don't want to have to feel responsible to give you kids. So the way I look at it is that if you don't have kids, you're one of two men. If you don't have kids, either you just haven't had them, but you do want them,
yep.
or you don't want kids. And if you don't
Yes.
want kids, that's a problem because not only do I have
Have
kids,
kids.
I have small kids. So it's not like
Mhm.
grown kids that I can just kind of be like, all right, we can
Mhm.
live our best travel life.
Right.
Like all kids, they
Mhm.
will play a part and you will have to be a part of their life. So if you imagine a life without kids, then I'm not your good fit anyway. So that's why I am always looking for guys that have kids. And it gets a little tricky when they have grown kids too, because they've been living a life.
And they don't want the small kids.
Yeah, because they've
Yes.
already been there. They know the stress behind it.
Yes.
Unless, there are anomalies, and that's why I do kind of leave it open. There are very rare anomalies, like maybe perhaps a man that wanted children but couldn't like biologically have them.
Yeah.
So now that would be actually a perfect fit for somebody like me because I have the small kids. You would get that family experience. You could be a part of their life, but then they have their dads. So it's almost like my kids just gain more love.
Mhm.
The man gets to be a part of the family structure that he thought he would never have.
Mhm.
So that I do kind of stay slightly open for that possibility. That's why I don't shut every single man down that doesn't have
Yeah.
kids. But best believe I'm asking, why don't you have kids?
Yeah. Right.
Or what's your idea? And I tell them, I shut the shop down. The shop is shut.
Let's talk about the shop being shut because this is so funny to me. For the longest time, I had decided, I think up until like 39, I was like, you know what? Shop could still be open. I'm open. If I find someone now, then that's fine. But I was still in my healing season. So I wasn't really like out there. I wasn't really dating like that. And then I came across this one guy that I really liked. And he was like, you know what? I want kids. And my brain was like, okay. Like, I had to mentally prepare, but I had already decided after 39, I was like, shop is closed. We're not doing anything else. And then when I talked to him, I really liked him. And I was like, open up shop. Open up shop for him. Now I'm at this part where like, all right. Once he left, I was like, oh, cool. Shop is closed now. Like, completely again. Now I can live my best life. I can go out there if I need to. If I really, really want to, I can adopt, or maybe if he has young kids, I can be open to that. I don't have to have them. Like, I don't have to put them through my body, you know? And that's a coming of age thing too, to be like, no
Well,
more kids coming out of here.
I literally fixed it. My last baby, because my last baby was a scheduled C-section.
Uh-huh.
Told the doc, I was like, hey, why you in there?
Wow.
Fix her up down there. Fix her up. She asked me repeatedly, are you sure you got to sign this paper? And I was like, ma'am,
Yeah.
I'm a 22-year-old that might meet the love of my life. I'm 42.
Right.
42. This is my third.
Yeah.
I gave it a good go. I was open, like you said, in my 30, like 39, 40, I was open. Like if I meet the next love of my life, my person, and he wants another kid, I'm open. And I met my his father, and he had this whole experience. Like I have a kid, but I kind of feel like I would like to do that over. And so plan it, but we did not plan it.
Yeah. Right.
And so and I mean, for me specifically, the reason why I did shut the shop down is because the older you get, it's so physically taxing, mentally taxing. Because another thing people don't realize is that when you're in an older pregnancy, you're going in way more often, telling you all the time, every day, they're telling you like, oh, older women have a high chance of miscarriage. They have a higher chance of stillbirths. They have a higher chance of Down syndrome babies. And so I'm constantly going in being tested to see if he has Down syndrome, and the mental load of every single day for 9 months worrying about if my baby is alive. Too much. And then I just think my 40-something-year-old body just couldn't take it because I was like breaking out. I had terrible reflux. I morning sickness, like for a long time. I was pneumonia. It was the worst pregnancy ever.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, I'm sure. Right. I was like, I'm sure.
Yes.
Take it out, and you guys make sure it's good and fix it up in there.
Yes.
I was like, I don't even want to come back to do that procedure. Like, I don't care who I meet from here on out. If they don't come with their own kids, like, then to move to somebody that is open, that does want to have kids.
So we talked about balancing family and dating, finding the balance. You kind of talked about balance in terms of who you could have watch your kids.
Okay, right.
And then also understanding that mommy needs some time too, so you use it for your weekends. Was there something else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, because my schedule is tricky, it's hard. It's like I do try to date on the weekends that my kids have. Because for me, I do have two fathers in the picture. So oldest two are with my ex-husband, and my youngest is with my ex-boyfriend. So it's almost like every other weekend with two of them, and then every weekend with my youngest. So I only really get 2 weekends out the month that I'm actually by myself to do that. So the schedule is very strict. It is very, like, I have to be strategic and intentional because I also do have to get my downtime in.
Yeah.
So I cover for my kids. I do have to mentally, veg out or pour into me or take care of business. So like maybe squeeze in a date or two here. But ironically, 2024, I did actually I went on about like 15 dates. It was the last end of 2024. So the last 6 months, I went on about 20 something dates. And out of those 20 something dates, maybe 2 of them were the same person.
Oh, wow. So you only had one like recurring?
Yeah.
Wow. So let's talk about that. I will say work-life balance for me has been more so about balancing. Like, I found someone I was talking to for a while. I wanted getting off the dating apps. And then come to find out he was an avoidant, emotionally unavailable, just ghosted. We got into an argument over Christmas. And that was in my last podcast, because if you guys want to check that out, it's called Ghosted Again. But after that, we were talking for about 4 months, and I already got it off dating apps. So for me, I'm coming back in January, trying to stay motivated. And I'm also I already deleted Hinge, because to me, I found like for me, that's my worst place to find people. I don't know why it is, but Hinge is just not for me.
Hinge is like a hello out there. Hello out there. It's like a particular type that gets dates on Hinge, and I don't fall into that category apparently.
Apparently, I don't fall into it either. I don't know if you have to be like early 20s and 30s. I feel like there's the cap off is 40. Like men are looking for any woman who's under 35, maybe. So if you're,
I even paid for Hinge, and I don't usually pay.
wow,
So I paid for like a month, and I was like, I'm gonna give it. I did everything that I did on the other apps for Hinge, and I think I don't even really think I got a nibble. It might have been one older Italian guy. It was very strange.
Even when I get people on there, it's just very like site based. Like you're just staying in the site. I've thrown my number out twice, and because they were like, "Oh, we should get together," I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I threw my number out, and then still didn't hear anything. This is the only place where it's like, I don't get it. I've never, the one date I did get from Hinge was like 6 years ago, I think. And then he pulled this, look at the time, which I've never had before. When he found out I was celibate, I told him, because I think he was looking for the other thing, even though he said he was looking for long term. I told him I didn't do first date, like encounters. And all of a sudden he goes, "Well, look at the time." And we had just ordered drinks, girl. We had just ordered a second round. And because it was going good until we had that conversation. And then when he said to look at the time and the drinks hadn't even got there yet, I was like, oh.
This is what I'm talking about when I say time wasters.
Wow.
Wasters. You know what you wanted. I would rather you just tell me. Here's the thing. Tell me that that's what you want, because you never know. Depending on what day you get me,
that's true. I might
consider you, or I might have one of those nights where it's like, "God dog it." You know what? Let me see if he about that life for real. You know, but tell me, give me the opportunity. Don't play, because it was almost like it seemed like he was probably prepping you to play the game.
Yeah.
And instead of just being real, why are you looking for a long-term relationship on your, if you're really,
because if you're not
for a long-term, if you're looking for a long-term relationship, I'm not your person. You'll say that like, looking for, but let's be friends.
Yeah. Well, I love the ones that come on the date and they're like, "Well, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I was thinking about moving to another country in the next 4 or 5 months." And I'm like, "You have long term. Well, I'm just looking I might have a reason to stay." It's just funny because a lot of the people who are still in the dating pool are avoidants anyway, which means they already have some emotional availability. That's the reason why they're still there. They want love. They want to be affectionate. They want someone to want them. But at the same time, they don't have the capacity to give the same love because they haven't worked on themselves. They haven't worked on that part of themselves. So the dating pool is full of avoidance, mainly. People who are catch and release, they'll catch you, they'll let you go. They'll go back in the dating pool and they'll catch again and let that person go. And we don't have like what are those people you call on the reference? We don't have a reference where, people like, reference.
3 references that I need to call, and preferably exes. I want to
see the last 3 people you dated. I want to hear about them.
The most recent.
Yes.
It was the real you.
Yes.
So call me for a reference.
Yeah.
I will tell you what the real is like. Nah, girl, don't waste your time. Or he's a good one. He just wasn't my good one. Like I went out with this. I had a good weekend, right? I lined up 3 days. Let me tell you, my game was intentional. It was executed perfectly.
Yes.
I paid for the little week on the app that I was on, and I started talking and chatting and flirting, and I was in a groove, and set up 3 dates, Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And went out with all 3 of them. Now, the one that I had the least hope for, because I thought he was a fast talker. He had like 100 jobs. He had lived like 100 lives.
A lot going on. Was he Jamaican? Was he African?
Jobs. Jobs. But he had like, he was an artist. So, it was legitimate. Like, he had business. I saw that. He was very active on social media. He added me. I was able to
sounds like commitment issues. That's all I'm getting.
Yeah, it might have been, but I didn't take him seriously. He was actually the last date. I was like, well, we just gonna see. let's just, and when we went out, it was actually a perfect first date for me. Cause I don't really do the date dates. Like, I'm not going to sit and break bread with guys. We'll do the coffee date because coffee date for me is I can give you an hour. And if I suffer through an hour, I can suffer through an hour. I don't want to suffer through, appetizers, drinks, dessert.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to get up and walk out and then wait for the waiter to give me my portion of the check. Like, so coffee dates. It was we're in LA, so it was like in the black side of town. They're rocking all the R&B songs, and so we're literally in the shop, just the R&B, SZA, all that's flowing. We're laughing, we're talking, we're flirting. It was going fantastic. I was attracted to him. He was just like his picture. He was really attractive, and I was like, all right. And I did all the things I thought I should do. I told him afterwards, like, I enjoyed myself. I got to go get my kids, so I do have to leave. And, I hope we can do this again. Gave him a great big hug. Went on about my way. Texted him like, man, I had such a great time. Your energy is intoxicating. I thought, I was trying not to be too thirsty,
too much.
but I was letting
them know.
I was interested. Because up at this point, I was like, okay, maybe I'll see you, maybe I won't. And after that, it just went into that mode of like, now he's breadcrumbing, it's like,
oh, he did the breadcrumb.
He's no longer calling. He's texting like once in the morning and then like not responding for 6 hours. It was just kind of, it was deflating.
Disappointing, I'm sure.
Disappointing, because then it was like, now I gotta, and then the other two dudes, it was like weird with them. They weren't really breadcrumbers, but it was obvious that there was something going on with them too. Like something in the background. One guy said that he couldn't give me a straight answer about his current baby mama. The guy was like, it seemed like he was into some illegal activity, but he was talking about it's above board. And I was like, I don't know about that one either. And then it's like, but with this guy, like, I was really hoping, and I held on for like about 2 weeks.
For how long?
About 2 weeks, just to kind of see.
Oh, how it's going to pan out. Did you guys ever have another conversation after that?
Nah. No. After, when I realized that it was the breadcrumbing, I just kind of, I don't know if I have avoided tendencies. I feel like I'm an anxious attachment, but I present avoidant. So
careful avoidant.
Avoidant, okay. Maybe I'm that. Because I don't do a lot of jockeying. I won't pursue. I won't jockeying.
Oh yeah, you're definitely a fearful avoidant then. Because anxious attachment, you're going to press. Like you're not letting it go. If they run, you're like, what's happening? What's going on? I know that you've been quiet lately. If you really cared about me, you're super anxious. You're not anxious.
I might be the fearful avoidant.
You're probably a fearful avoidant.
And I wait, but while I'm waiting, I feel anxious. While I'm waiting,
for sure.
Wondering where I went wrong. What did I do? How did I say it? Now, what do I do now? How do I really? But it's very much like, let me see what you do. And so when the text messages were like, far few and in between, I remember I had made up in my mind, like, all right, this dude ain't the one. Let me push on. And I'm like, hey, you.
That's when he texts you? Oh, I hate breadcrumbers. Hate them.
He gave me his good morning text. And I just said, hey, you. Whereas before it was like, oh, hey, hun buns. Hey, cutie pie. Hey.
Oh, I see.
What's up? Said that, he was like, well, dang, I was hoping that I could see you. And, and so then I was like, okay. And then I went into this is actually my kid-free weekend. So, what, we can do something this weekend. And then he responded like, maybe. And I was like, what?
Yes. He was doing too much. No.
It was like a mind fuck.
It was. Yeah.
The no cussing zone. It was like, what the F just happened? What do you mean? Maybe you just said, I want to see you. I gave you the opportunity and the time. And then the response is, maybe. And then from that point on, he went right back to the breadcrumbing. So my final text to him after a week of him breadcrumbing, I waited till he sent me that final text message like, hey, good morning, beautiful. And I just was like, hey, I thought this had potential. I no longer see that. Peace out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was like, then it was like this whole scroll down text message of, oh, wow, I wish you would have given me a chance. I was getting a place set up and I was trying to get my money. You never communicated this. You never
Yeah, any of it. He didn't communicate at all.
Yeah.
Anything. Yeah.
You just presented like, I don't care. And I don't really think he did care. I just think he couldn't take the blow.
His ego couldn't take the rejection. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, then I the funny thing about it is that I went back to his profile because I was going to unmatch and block. And I know that he had said when it asked you, what are you looking for? He just said chatting, friendship, and something casual. And I was like, how did you slip through?
Yes. Let it all slip through.
On those guys.
Listen, I don't even, if it says anything other than long-term, and I will allow friendship on there, but usually I'm just looking for like someone who knows what they want. But if it says short-term, long-term, casual, friendship, it has all 4 of those things. I'm like, this dude has no idea what he's looking for. I don't even think about cyber.
He's literally fishing to see which ones he can grab.
Exactly. He's someone who knows what they want, So
bonus if you just say married and long term, those are the ones I try to stick to.
Yes. Now, we were talking about your attachment type, and I want to make it clear, even though I threw out fearful avoidant, from what you said, I can't say that you were either or avoidant. It sounds like the person that you were talking to was avoidant, which will make anybody anxious. An avoidant will make anybody anxious. So you can't say, I have this attachment type just because you were talking to an avoidant. Everybody they're going to make them anxious. That's just what they do.
Pull out the anxiety in everybody.
They don't pull it for anybody, right? No, you were just talking to an avoidant who's going to make you anxious regardless because he wants that pool. And I told you most of the dating pool is avoidance. So that's why you have to be careful. If you feel yourself getting that anxiousness because of the breadcrumbing, because they go, I was busy, I was doing this. You talking to an avoidant, and usually they're just in it for the game. It's like they want it, but they don't want it. Yeah. So what you want is someone who's secure. You want something that's consistent. My last guy I was talking to, he was very consistent with telling me how he felt about me, but not about what was going on with him. So I think I got dragged into that a little bit longer than I should have been because I'm thinking he's opening up about how he feels about me. He was very consistent with letting me know every single day, I want to see you, let's make a plan for this. So I really got drawn into it. And then it wasn't until bull crap on my birthday and Christmas that I was like, okay, this dude is actually an avoidant. He's avoiding the hard conversations. And when I called him out on it, he just went ghost. He was like, "Shoot, I'm not perfect anymore. Shoot, she calling me out. She not saying I'm her sweet lovey-dovey guy anymore. Oh, hell no. She mad at me. I gotta go. So I'm glad I got that out of the way. But I wanted to show you a real anxious. I was talking to this one guy recently. He was my last date I went on. This is a real anxious attachment style because on the date, first off, the first thing he said when we met was, oh my God, you look beautiful. You actually look better than your photos. And I was like, oh, well, thank you. He's like, not to say that your photos are bad or anything. I was like, well, thank you. He's like, unlike mine that are really bad. And I was like, no, you look like your pictures. And he's like, yeah, but I'm ugly though. It's okay if you say it. And I'm like, I don't think you're ugly or it would have come out, I was like, you look like your pictures. He's like, oh, okay, well, I'm glad you say that. He's like, can you come sit next to me? I was like, I was sitting right next to him, chair to chair. And he wants me to get out of my chair and come sit on his little bench. I was just like, whatever, I'll go sit on his bench. Girl, the rest of the day, he kept fawning and looking. And I'm really glad that you're on this date with me. And I was like, oh, well, thank you. We're walking. He's like, do you want to go for a walk? I'm like, sure. He's like, can I hold your hand? It's like, oh, you can hold my hand, I guess. So I'm holding his hand and we're walking. And then he's like, you're so beautiful. I'm really so happy that you're on this date with me. And I was like, I'm happy that you're so communicative about your feelings. Because I don't know what to say. His He's like, well, I'm glad you said that because most girls don't. Usually after they date, they block me. I was like, wow, interesting. We're walking and he says something like, I hope we can walk like this 6 months from now. I hope we're still doing this 6 months from now.
Oh, I might be a bit of an avoidant because the way that would have caused me to, hello? What? Who's where? What? I'll be right there.
You know, right? Now, listen, my past self, I am an avoidant, though. Like, my past me is very much avoidant. Fearful avoidant, not dissociative. Usually those people, they'll cut you off, no problem. Like, ghosting you, like, they don't care. But me, I'm more like fearful, like, do want it, but as it gets closer, like you said, it's like, no, push away. He was being a little bit too much. He's like, I think he has something else aside of being he's at the top of anxious. So he was future planning. He was doing all kinds of things. I was like, maybe the reason why some of these women may have blocked you is because you do a lot of future planning. Because he was saying he wanted us to buy a house together. This is our first date. He's talking about buying a house and moving because he's from Mississippi. I was talking about moving back to Mississippi. He said, well, please don't go without me. We can go together. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I said, well, maybe you could be a little bit of, you do a little future thinking. It comes off as love bombing. He's like, no, I just like to think that I'm optimistic about things. Like, I really want things to work out. I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, the rest of the date goes the same way. We get to the end of
it could only get worse. It got worse.
It was weird. We did, how you start with the coffee date? I was like, he was still interesting enough for me. He was like, I'll take you to dinner. Will you let me take you to dinner? And we were still in the area. So I said, I would let him. So I let him take me to dinner. And then there he was saying stuff like, the same stuff. I'm really glad I'm on this date with you. He's very affirming, very much like, I'm glad to be here. And then when we got in the car, he's like, I don't want this to end. He's like, do you mind sitting in the car with me for a little while? And I was like, I'll sit in the car with you for 5 minutes, but then I need to go. I'll sit in the car with you for 5 minutes. We'll talk. Just because obviously something's going on. I could tell he said he hadn't been on a date in 3 years either. And one thing I'm finding, a lot of these men haven't been out in a while. So when we're sitting there, girl, he goes, I want to see you again. And I was like, oh, this was the one time I didn't want somebody to plan a date on a date. That's a good sign, right? You want somebody to plan the next date while you're on a date. He was like, I want to see you again. I was like, oh, you too? I was like, he's like, yeah, when can I see you again? I say, when do you want to? He goes, tomorrow? Tomorrow?
No. I was in my body like when the specs on
tomorrow. I want to see you tomorrow.
Right.
But the funny part is, girl, he completely flipped out on me the next day after, because I'd already told him, I said, no, I can't see you tomorrow. I was like, how about later in the week? We can do something for later on next week. Right. So we had picked like a Thursday. This happened on a Saturday. So we picked a Thursday. Girl, he texts me the next day, Sunday, and he's like, I'm cooking. I would love for you to come over. And I just told this man, first off, I had something to do today, so I know you don't expect me to come over. So I just said, what are you cooking? He says, halibut. Girl, end the conversation because you answered my question. You didn't come back and ask me anything. So we can go through other things, right? Because this is all via text message. Girl, this man texts back, and I put this on Threads too. I put the whole conversation on Threads. Girl, everybody was going crazy. This man comes back and goes, if you don't want to talk to me anymore, you could just say that. I thought this was going perfect. And now all of a sudden, I don't know what we're doing anymore. I was like, whoa, hold on. All of a sudden, he just starts spiraling. You can see when people are still texting. He's still texting. And so I'm just like, hold on, I think you need to take a breath. I was like, the last thing you said was halibut. And you didn't ask me a follow-up question. I don't know how you wanted me to respond to that. And I said, I need you to calm down. I want you to take a minute. And you could tell he was still like, I thought this and thought that. And, now you're being distant and I don't understand what's going on. I said, nothing's changed since the last time I talked to you. I said, I'm going to give you an hour. You might want to take an hour and then come back to this conversation. I'm going to try to be nice. And then he goes, no.
I just say you're healing journey is reflecting right now. That's some secure attachment stuff to respond. Like, breathe. Let me affirm you. Take a breath. Let's circle back when we ain't so hot right now.
Right.
Okay.
When you're not so hot. When you're not so hot right now, right? Girl, do you know this man takes back? Don't worry about it. I'm going to be the same person in an hour. Have a nice life. And he says, obviously, this is the end. And I go, it doesn't have to be. That's what I take back. It doesn't have to be. I told you to take an hour and to take a breather. I was like, obviously, your nervous system is deregulated. Take the hour. And I said, you're self-sabotaging. That's what I put. He takes back, damn it. I'm always messing up good things. And then he's like, I guess I'll go and leave you be. It would have been nice if you had told me you wanted to talk to me or something. And I said, I'm still here. Take your hour. And then he never responds back. Girl, people on Threads was like, yeah, if you let that man go, like you said, that was some really secure type stuff. I would have left the first time he went off. I was like, I had been anxious attachment with an avoidant before. So I understand how that feels. It's like, because I flipped from being avoidant to anxious when I started dating avoidance, because we were trauma bonding. Because I'm going from being an avoidant to like, oh, we got things in common. Not realizing I'm trauma bonding with the damn avoidant. Like, no.
Well, you know, it's one thing I when you talk about healing journey, what I'm learning with my therapist is one of the things that she told me is that when you do that spiraling in your head, which it sounds like he was doing, you have to realize what you're spiraling about.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm spiraling about the uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
Read about my worst fear coming to pass, which rejection. Is this person going to tell me that I'm not good enough and that I'm not worthy? And that's when I spiral. That's when I get anxious. That's when anxiety, like Inside Out 2, goes nuts in my. She said, if you just take the time, like you said, take the beat, you can handle the hard truth. Even if your fear is being rejected and they do reject you, it will be less painful. This spiraling that you're doing to yourself. I'm not like him in text, but in my head, it's over. He's probably got somebody else. He's always had somebody. He's playing me for the fool. I looked thirsty. I felt stupid. I looked stupid. You know, it's like you. I just got something to do. I'll talk to you later. I'm still very interested.
Exactly.
Already spiraled in my head. I'm thrown the whole thing away, thrown the baby out with the water. But as I pace myself in just relationships in general, you know, platonic, romantic, professional, it's ask the clarifying questions, accept the hard truth that you have to, but get there, you don't at least ask the question and pace yourself and slow the heck down.
And we can go like one step further where you start spiraling in your head and stuff. One thing I found when I did that was it's not about the person that I'm talking to and anything about what they did. I had to, in that moment, ask myself, when's the first time I had this spiral or feeling? Like, what is it that I feel like I'm losing here? What is it about this person and what I think they're doing that corresponds to something that happened in my past? And my first relationship, the one where I told you I went from avoidant to anxious because I was dating an avoidant, the one thing that I realized with him was when I took that moment to realize it wasn't him that was causing my anxiousness. It was me and the fear of abandonment. And from there, I had to figure out, when was the first time I had this, or when did I think? When was the first time I think I had this fear of abandonment? And it took me all the way back to when I was 14 and my first relationship where I gave myself to, it was actually my ex-husband at the time, and found out like a week later that he was with some other girls or some girls that came up to me and was like, you think you got that man, but he's not yours. That was the anxiousness that I was associating with this new relationship. And once I went back and calmed that 14-year-old girl, because that anxiousness isn't me now. The anxiousness is that 14-year-old girl in my head that's saying, you're going to give yourself to him, then he's going to leave you, he's going to be with somebody else, you're going to look stupid, right? Once I went in there and said, wait a second, 14-year-old girl, let me give you a hug. Because first off, obviously nobody hugged you in that situation and you deserved it. And I calmed her. Then I was like, okay, this is real. Until I find out otherwise, this man ain't cheating on me.
Right. Yeah.
You know? So just to do like a little extra step is trying to figure out what is it really about? Because you said it, the fear of abandonment, the fear of rejection, the fear of being hurt. But where did you first feel those emotions so that you can cut it off at the root? Because otherwise it's going to keep popping up.
Well, I think the going to the little girl is very powerful because I recently started doing that type of work with my therapist, like within the last couple months, running through the exercises where you're like meditating and mentally closing your eyes, imagining that little girl where a lot of the trauma started, to that little girl sitting with that little girl, because the fear of rejection comes from, like you said, something that happened to that little girl not thinking that they were good enough. So it's powerful when adult me sits with little girl me in these exercises, in these moments, and mothers her, gives her missing in those years or in those moments. But for me, I do have to consistently go back to her. I don't know if it's because that trauma is so deep rooted.
Yes.
You forget a lot.
Yeah.
And so I default back to oh, you're not good enough. Oh, you're valuable. Oh, they're going to do. And even then, one of the things my therapist had to tell me too, she was like, one of the things you can hold on to along with that is think about all the times when you weren't rejected and measure that up to the one or two times that you were compared to times that you rejected dudes. And it's like,
right. That part. It hurts us.
What about the time?
Right.
What about the time when you went all the way to the altar? That wasn't rejection. What about the one? And then it's like, oh, so I've had to
select
literally
rejection,
but I've had to write the positive ones down.
Yeah.
So when I start forgetting, then I can remember there was 90% of the guys that I've been involved with did think I was valuable, and then maybe 10% of them did not. And don't like you. And that has been a hard.
Oh, people pleasing coming out.
Swallow.
Yeah. Which we may need to talk about another episode because we're an hour in on this one already. Let's find a good way to segment out. What do we want to leave people with?
If I'm on a panel and I'm talking to a room full of 40-year-old women that are trying to, get back out there, I would really emphasize the importance of understanding that you're worthy. And that's just my personal.
That's important. First and foremost, yes.
I realized that I didn't think that.
A lot of people,
conscious in everything that I was doing and not was about me not feeling worthy.
Yes.
So the work to do, I think, for most women, because it's hard not to, it's hard not to get into that mode because of children, because of work life, because of spouses that have come and gone or partners that you really have to pour into yourself, have to make the time to date, make time to vet the people that you're dating, make the time to date yourself.
That's important. That's number one.
I did date myself for 2 years before I got back on the dating scene. And then now I'm dating myself simultaneously with still trying to show myself that I am valuable, that I am worthy of love, and I'm worthy of affection. I'm worthy of attention. And I think that that's very imperative when it comes to re-entering into the dating scene so that you don't get caught up by the games. You don't get caught up by time wasters. You're unafraid to, light the fire under them. Because I remember a long time ago, I had a minister tell me that you need to, first of all, see a man in every season of the year, the literal seasons, winter, summer, fall. And you have to be able to apply the pressure and light the fire so you can see how they react.
You do. That's important. I need to know how you are when you're mad, when you're sad, when shit hits the fan,
Right. Because everybody can be representative at the table.
It's great, girl. It's great. When everything was lovey-dovey and old boys want to talk about how much he enjoyed being with me and how beautiful I was. I'm talking about the love bomb and avoid it now. when I got off the apps for. Like, he was great. I would never have thought anything was wrong with him. And you know me, I ain't getting off no dating apps just for anybody. Like, he had to really been putting in some effort. And he was putting in all the effort. Except for when it came to conflict, which was one of my main things, because I don't like people who are conflict averse, because I do have a problem with conflict myself, like, I do try to get right at the root of the problem, but I need somebody who's willing to go there with me. If you're going to shut down and I'm going to shut down and we both shutting down, and if I come to you and I say, let's fix this problem, and you're like, I'm out, I don't like conflict, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So
I avoid conflict like the plague.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people do.
But I'm very encouraged by a person who is like, let's get to the root of it.
Yes, you need somebody who's willing.
If I get with somebody that avoids conflict, which was my ex-husband, ironically,
Mm-hmm.
and been married for 7 years, and we had literally one argument, which was the last argument that...
Oh, conflict averse. Both of y'all conflict averse. It was bound to happen the worst way possible.
So I'm open to handling conflict. I'm learning how to handle conflict in a healthy way and effectively.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody's going to avoid it, I'll sit right back there with you.
Yes,
like, okay,
we're both avoiding. Yeah.
We going to put our rose-colored glasses on and ride.
Your Stevie Wonder glasses. Y'all both sitting back with Stevie Wonder glasses, like, we're just pretending like you don't see.
One more day? One more? Okay.
Yeah. Just pretend. We'll just pretend that still happen.
Yeah.
Have you calmed? I'll calm down. Okay. Let's make the kids something to eat and let's go to work.
Right.
Come back home.
Yeah, we can talk about it later. We don't need to talk about it right now. The energy's good right now. Let's go with that. Or that we don't need to make it worse. Let's just take a breather and then never come back to it and
avoid.
Yeah. While the next conflict comes up and we do the same thing, then the next conflict. So I do need somebody who is willing to address the conflict, who's direct, because I'm struggle with being direct. I've been learning how to get to the point. I'll be like, back when I was 10, I remember my dad telling me, he's like, what are you talking about? I asked you what spaghetti.
Yeah, right.
But I tell him the history of why I don't like spaghetti and why it's traumatic to me. But if I get you and you're direct and you know how to approach conflict, and that will encourage me and it'll create a safe environment for me to also now start bringing conflict as well and addressing it.
Yeah. And so I think that's key, is knowing what you want, knowing where your weaknesses lie too. So you're able to bring that up in conversation with people that you're dating up front. What type of person are you when conflict comes? Even though people lie, because, oh boy, I remember him having a conversation. That was one of my big things, because I just came from a ghoster. I was like, how do you deal with conflict? And I was like, my mom and dad don't go to bed at night arguing. Like, they have to resolve it. But that's a lie, because I've seen them, not resolve it and talk about it the next day. But he was like, oh yeah, my parents are the same way. I believe in addressing conflict, like, right off the bat. And no, he doesn't. So people can lie, which is why you have to see them in those 4 seasons, like you said, but also knowing your weaknesses, knowing like what you need for yourself going in. And only way that you know that is because you've done some of your work. Like, you know what you need. You've done some of your work. And so if I could just say for anybody out there who's still looking to date, please make sure that you've done at least some of your work. After I've been off the market for 5 years, I just kind of go in and out to kind of test my skills, to see where I'm at. I think I'm pretty good now, but I'm at this point now where I'm actually thinking about getting off the dating apps again and trying to come up with something different, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But
for me, getting off the dating apps is, what's the alternative?
My thing is, I want to come up with my own dating thing that's not like that. That's more individualized, that's going to center around therapy. I've been thinking about it a lot. I have this thing in my head now where it's like, you need to make this work for people who are tired of the dating apps, and like bringing people in person, personally together. And then you get to decide whether or not you guys want to go get a coffee or go to like the next location and, date 2 or 3. So I'm sitting down trying to think of this, but whatever. That's where my mind is. A lot of people are having the same issue. They're tired of the dating apps. And you don't see people for who they are from a photo.
Yeah.
Either.
Not the apps are just, I feel like in the 1 week that I've been on the apps, I've already been getting, what are we, 2 weeks in? 2 weeks I've been back on the apps. Like, it's like, it just feels different.
Yeah.
It feels thin in the air. So work on that, Nikki.
Yeah.
Please. Because I would love to just go to an event and, go there without the pressure, but also with somebody that I know would be compatible. And, if nothing else, I can have a good time, meet good people.
Yeah, we have to work on that. But I know you got someplace to be. I have to get off too. I thank you for coming on. Ladies, don't give up hope. Remember, I always say, make sure you work on yourself now for the future you tomorrow so you can be a better you at the end of it all, okay? Nickole, thank you for coming on and sharing your experiences.
And it's always so fun. I love it.
Yes, you're gonna have to come back on again because we went over, so I'm gonna have to cut this down to a certain extent. But we can always talk about dating and kids and whatever else later on. So just let me know again what your next schedule is. But I still gotta edit 2 that we've done already. So
all right, I'll give you a beat to get those things, but I'll let you know what my schedule is, and you can figure out how you want to plug me in, however. But I really enjoy being here. Thank you for having me. It's been so fun every single time.
Yes, and I appreciate you being so vulnerable, Bob. And on that note, I'm gonna let you go, and I'm just gonna say bye, girl.
All right, see you later.
Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Hello Me, It's Me with Nikki D. Lovely. Just remember, you can't change who you were yesterday, but you can always learn and grow to become a better version of yourself today. So make sure you do the mental work today for the future you tomorrow, and I will see you next week. And in the meantime, make sure that you check me out on my Instagram at Nikki D. Lovely or _broke_mama. You can also find me at nickidlovely.com and check out my book, No F Boys Allowed. I also have a poetry book coming out pretty soon, so just a little shameless plug. But either way, I will see you guys next time, and thanks again. Bye.